What has it been like for Twilio during this crazy pandemic? Obviously, we're taping this as the Delta variant seems to be waning. We can only hope. And we almost got there on vaccines. So close, but
yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Well, it's as you said, it's an acceleration, right? Which is the trends that have driven digital adoption and people call digital transformation. These things have been going on for the last 15, 20 years. They got accelerated by mobile phones and smartphones. They got started in many ways because of the web. Well, COVID accelerated those trends even more, right? Because we become even more reliant on these digital workflows of getting things delivered to us instead of going face to face, of buying things online instead of offline. And it's interesting, even trends like seeing a doctor via video, I think, have experienced a one-way acceleration, which is, telemedicine, was not invented during the pandemic. It had been around for a while, but, most of our habits were like, oh, when I need to see the doctor, I go to the doctor. That's what I do. Well, along came the pandemic, and many people had their first telemedicine visit for one reason or another, whether it's just a, regular checkup or a scrape or whatever it is. You saw a doctor via video and you realize, oh, wow, like that was so much more convenient. If I need to see a doctor, I don't have to call and schedule and then take half day off of work, drive across town, find parking, sit in the waiting room where I assume I'm getting more sick being in a doctor's waiting room.
Yeah.
Like, all I need to do is take 15 minutes out of my calendar and join yet another Zoom, right? Basically,
right,
and see the doctor, and how much more convenient that is. And I think the net result of that is more people are going to get healthcare. You're not going to put off that appointment. Or for folks, especially those in rural areas, they will be able to see the doctor that they couldn't see. Or imagine folks who are hourly workers, where seeing the doctor literally means going without salary.
Right.
Because you need to take a day off of work. And imagine if your kid needs to go to the doctor and you need to drive to across the state and to find that specialist and take days off of work and go without your wages. Imagine all the medical appointments that just don't happen because of that. Anyway, it's just one example, but I think it's such an amazing one because the acceleration of telemedicine is just one example. But this is a one-way street. Like these experiences that we have had, we've realized just how powerful they are, how they give us back time, how they make us more efficient. And that, we did a survey of a few thousand companies recently. And we asked them, how much did COVID accelerate your digital strategy? And on average, the digital roadmaps of companies were accelerated by 6 years.
Wow.
6 years. And that's backed up by some of the conversations that I've had with folks. I was talking with the CIO of a major big box retailer. And, this was last year. And the CIO said, we saw for him, this was like mid last year. He said, we saw a 5-year acceleration of our e-commerce adoption in the course of 1 quarter.
Wow.
You can imagine just how companies have to pour resources in to support that growth, to support their customers. And that has been just a critical acceleration. And I remember that weekend. You remember the weekend where just really everything shut down?
Yeah, that was like I think it was the 12th.
Friday the 13th. I'll never forget.
13th,
I mean, it was Friday.
The 13th.
Thursday.
And I think it was the 12th that the NBA canceled the game with people on the court and was like, everybody go home. And you're like, go home?
Yeah.
Wow,
right?
that's dramatic.
That week, it was the week of March 9th, 2020, when just everything just got so real here in the United States, at least. And that weekend, so I was actually on a work trip that week. I got home and it was like, okay, we're all going into lockdown. And like, you can imagine every executive team of every company was having calls of like, okay, what are we, what's going on? What are we doing? We had shut down all of our offices early that week. And, there were real questions raised of like, okay, like, should we stop hiring? Should we, do you put a pause on all? Because who knows what's about to happen?
Right.
And an interesting thing happened that weekend. I got so many emails from developers, customers, partners, nonprofits, you name it. People saying, I'm building a thing. I'm building a thing to help kids homeschool. I'm building a thing to help keep patients out of hospitals that are going to get overwhelmed. I'm building a thing to help keep people safe or keep track of loved ones or blah, 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 blah. So many ideas suddenly were coming out of the woodwork, and everyone was saying, hey, Jeff, can you hook us up with credit? Can you find us help? Anyone know how to do this? And in that moment, I realized just how important the builders of the world were going to be to help us all manage through this pandemic.
Yeah.
And in that moment, we decided, it was like, we are not going to freeze hiring. In fact, I think we're going to grow. We set a goal for the company. We said, our goal is to emerge stronger from this pandemic.
It's time for another Our Crowd deal of the week. Right now, you can join Our Crowd's investment in Orient. According to the deal memo, Orient's software-only indoor GPS is 20 times more accurate and scalable than current solutions. And they've landed contracts with some of the world's largest retailers. So why join Our Crowd? Well, Our Crowd investors were early in some of the best performing IPOs of 2019 and 2020, and now you can join them. With Our Crowd, accredited investors can invest directly, easily, and most importantly, early. Our Crowd investors have benefited from companies IPOing like Beyond Meat or being bought by companies like Intel, Nike, Microsoft, Oracle, and my personal favorite, Uber. So here's your call to action. Our Crowd's accredited investors have already invested over $1 billion in growing tech companies. If you are an accredited investor, you can join Our Crowd for free at ourcrowd.com/twist and review the current deals. There's no payment involved until you decide to invest. That's ourcrowd.com/twist to sign up for free.